Peace and love, family. Welcome to another Truth to Power Talk with your sister, Dr. Ma'at. Before we get tonight's discussion started, I want to make a quick announcement or a quick reminder. The FBA rally for reparations is going down, family. This Saturday in Washington D.C. at the Freedom Plaza. Okay, the Freedom Plaza in Washington D.C. this Saturday, November the 5th. It's going to start at 11 a.m. I heard it's going to be from around 11 a.m. to maybe 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. So meet us out there, family. We have a dynamic group of speakers who are going to be speaking. You got Riza Islam, Teslin. She's going to be there. Dr. Boyce Watkins, Professor James Small, our great Dr. Kaba Kamene, who's in the building tonight, will be in the building. Marcel Dixon and Connie Collins. And so, family, make sure you are in the building for this historical demand, not asking, but demand for reparations this Saturday, November the 5th at 11 a.m. at the Freedom Plaza. I'm sorry, family. The Freedom Plaza in Washington, D.C. All right, so family, let's bring on this mighty, mighty warrior, Dr. Kaba Kamene. He's a scholar, a historian, a lecturer, a husband, a dad, a school teacher, an educator. I mean, he educates the community, or he educates us at the communiversity. That's what we call it, right? The communiversity. So I'm getting ready to bring him on. All right, family, let's get started. Peace and Black power.
Let's combat and fight back with Meltrax. The war of the minds, they want control of the masses. And Common Core, they dumb us down in the classes. Without knowledge, we can't gain access. Build with the elders, take notes and write classes. We keep whining on the block, how it's gonna stop? Let's start supporting our own, make their supply drop. We buy stocks, then we buy blocks. Cause we know the truth and we tuned in to Dr. Maya.
A BB to me, a BB Fahodi, a peace to all of my thinkers, truth speakers, and truth seekers. Welcome to another Truth to Power Talk with your sister, Dr. Ma'at. Thank you for joining another powerful discussion. And tonight I have with me another powerful guest, but he is no stranger to the community, nor is he a stranger to this platform. Dr. Kaba Kamene. How are you, Baba? How are you, Doctor?
My sister, Dr. Ma'at, I am doing excellent. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak to the community on so many different important issues. So thank you for this opportunity. And I thank all those who have tuned in. The most precious thing you have is time. So I appreciate your time. I'll never waste it, and I'll never let mine be wasted. So,
and likewise, Baba, I appreciate your time, your energy, and your wisdom. Baba, you're a busy man, very busy. But one thing I can say about you that I bear witness to is that you've made yourself accessible to everybody. I mean, I've been calling you almost for about 9 or 10 years for advice. I remember when I called you and I said, Baba, I'm ready to take on an African name. And I wanted you to tell me the name. And you said no. You said you had, and you gave me you gave me advice to search within to find my name, and you guided me in that process, and I will never forget that. And so, what I love about you is that, in spite of your schedule, because you have a lot going on, that you're always accessible to us. And you don't hesitate when we call and say, hey, Baba, look, we need you here. We need you to fly to Chicago. We need you in California. We need you in Atlanta. We need you to come down to Baltimore because you've been to Baltimore several times. We need you to come to Baltimore and speak. Hey, okay, let me check my schedule. Let's work something out. Baba, I need you to come onto the platform and talk about this. Let me check my schedule and let me work it out. And you always do. And so I am forever grateful to you. Family, take a moment out to thumb up this video. You know how the YouTube algorithm works. The more you engage with the video, the more it pops up in people's feed, right? So take a moment out, thumb up the video. Also, family, share this video. Sharing is caring, okay? Lastly, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, you are notified. Lastly, family, I think I said lastly when I asked you to subscribe, but this is definitely lastly. Lastly, make sure you check out or watch the Truth to Power Talk playlist, okay, on my YouTube channel. I brought on Dr. Kaba Kamene. Baba's been on for a few times, a lot of times. I brought on Dr. Malefi Ashanti. I brought on Dr. Wade Nobles, Professor James Small, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Darity, and so many others. So make sure you check out that playlist, family. And also join me back here on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Read Book Club. This Sunday, we will be discussing Chapter 8 of the book, The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. Okay, and we'll be talking about how the government racially segregated America and locked us out. Okay, locked us completely out. So we'll be discussing chapter 8 of that book. And if you don't have the book, still tune in, okay? Because you will learn something from the bill. So anyway, Doc, I wanted to, I brought you on tonight, and I've reached out to you. Maybe it was like last week or the week before, because when Tariq released the flyer, okay, that you were speaking at the FBA rally. I'm speaking. Professor James Small speaking. The community went up in flames. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, Dr. Ma'at, I thought you were a Pan Africanist. I said, I am. I thought, but how are you a Pan Africanist and you're participating in this FBA rally? What about Dr. Kaba? Isn't he a Pan Africanist? I said, he sure is. Well, how could he participate in this rally? Isn't Professor James Small a Pan Africanist? He sure is. Well, why is he participating in the FBA rally? Does he identify as an FBA? I mean, now what is it? So Baba, I just wanted to talk to you about that and kind of clear the air, about that. And I know that you spoke on the Hoppy film. You spoke on the Hoppy's platform. I believe it was you, Professor James Small, and the young warrior Chase. You all spoke about this maybe a few months back. About this thing that's going on with people identifying as one thing and then they're mad at the other people identifying as something else. So Baba, what would you say to all of this stuff? Someone says, well, Dr. Kaba, you're a Pan-Africanist. Why are you participating in the FBA rally for reparations? What is your response to that, Doctor?
And doctor, they have said that to me.
They said it to me too.
And I think it's because we are a people. We as specifically, and it's not just us. Mm. It is those of us in many ways, I would say, in this area, in the American hemisphere. If you look to our Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters, they call themselves Spanish-speaking, Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, all these names for who they are. You can go into the French-speaking. You can go into the Portuguese. All these different names. In Mexico, there are 40 different types of people you can be. I got the chart. There's 40 different types of Mexican you can be according to your mixtures. Mm. And my thing is, let's be very clear. I don't care what you call yourself. You're Moor, I call you Moor. I'm a Moor. You call yourself Hebrew Israelite, I'll call you Hebrew Israelite. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. You a Muslim, Nation of Islam? Me too. You Orthodox Muslim? Me too. If you black, and people say black, well, black is abstract. I understand that. But the great majority of our people view themselves a certain way. And if I begin to get highfalutin and start giving them Kemetic names or calling them from terms that they don't know, they won't know I'm talking to them.
That's exactly. Thank you. That's
okay. And then you get caught up because I'm talking to the masses of our people. I'm speaking to the ones that can feel my love, feel me from where I'm coming from, know that I am vitally interested in your well-being. And it don't make a difference what I may refer to myself as or what I may refer you as. There are so many of our brothers and sisters that say I'm black. There are so many of our brothers and sisters say I'm African American. Some even say I'm a Nick. Oh, I'm not going to say it, but
I know. Come on, I know. Absolutely.
I just was up in New Paltz. I taught in New Paltz for 12 years. It's a state university, and I remember that I was in class and some brothers came in and they say, "Yo, nigga," and then they apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Professor. I wouldn't have said that if I knew you were in the class. I said, but hold on a minute, brother. Do you know what that word means? Mm. Do you know the history of the word? And long story short, after I finished explaining that to them, the Alphas, the fraternity, the Alphas, they said, you got to bring this information to the campus.
Mm. Baba, break it down, because we hear so many different, some people say that it comes from the Niger River. It's so many different theories that we hear about what's the meaning of, the M word. So what would you say? Or the origins, not really the meaning, but well, yeah, the meaning and the origins of the M word. How would you describe the origins of it?
One of the things that we have missed in our language acquisition, as it is so applicable in Africa,
Mm,
in so many nations in Africa, language was developed by sounds from nature. Nature was our first teacher. And the Twa Mbuti Khoisan of Central and Southern Africa that created the Niger-Congo languages that unites really all of Africa together from the central, and it branches out. Clyde Winters is a phenomenal brother that has done the type of scientific research on the Niger-Congo languages and how all of the languages are related. Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop did the same thing. The point I'm making is that you got to get the sound.
mm,
You don't get caught up in the letter. You see, the Greeks and the Romans got caught up in letters, symbols. Africans got caught up in the symbolism. So, for instance, our ancestors would see this magnificent bird flying above. And as the wings, I mean, the wingspan was huge, and the power of this bird, and it would make a sound as it would pass overhead. Hru, hru, hru. So they called the bird Heru.
ooh, okay, okay.
Okay. They saw another bird, for instance, and the bird made sound "ak, ak." That was the vulture. That's why that symbol is the first letter in Medunetta that represents the symbol A. But the symbolism is Mut. The symbolism is the vulture who she, in being mother to her baby vultures, would take a piece of her own body during times of hunger for her babies to feed them.
Mm,
The symbolism of the mother. So when I was with the alphas the other day, I said to them, you know what the A means, right? Do you know what the symbolism is? It's a vulture. Her name is Mut, where the word mother comes from, meter comes from, mathematics come from. Ma'ati, kos, mathematics comes from. We have to get caught up back in nature teaching us sounds. So Unger was a sound, and that is why the N follows the M. The M is the 13th letter of the alphabet. The N is the 14th letter. Now you got to get back into the number 14 because Nun, the sound Nun, is the 14th letter of the Hebrew alphabet.
mm.
And then Nun is the sound that was made when we were returning to the source from whence we came, the waters of Nun. So the Ngr sound is very important. It's not so much the letters, it's the sound. Ngr brings forward a thrust, a power within the body that gives you the idea of a spirit. So you have Neter, or you have Mandingo. You go down south, you have Ngola.
Mm-hmm.
That Nga sound is there. Nga, Nga. And the R is there, but you know, the R don't necessarily have to be there because once you say Nga, it's almost like you're at the letter R the way your mouth is forming. Nga, Nga, Ngola. You almost have the R there. They added the R, but Ngr and Inter, T and G can be interchanged. So you have Neter in Kush Kemet. You have Inga in West Africa, Nga in South Africa. That Nga sound is there all over. And so what I was explaining to and you know, the students, you know, these are young brothers and sisters in particular, they're looking at me, they're saying, like, that never even entered my mind. Sounds that you make. But then I said, that's not correct. It is. It's all over you because in rap music, what you got the beats. The beats is that sound. We may not like the words they use, but the words that they use, the F word, the B word, all those are letters and sounds that have been formulated out of the beats, but the beats and the words don't coalesce, even though there are subliminal messages.
So, Doc, you're saying that the N word did not originate with white folks; it came from us.
When during the Punic Wars, when the Romans first came in contact with because the Greeks were calling, the Greeks word was Ethiopia, which means land of the burnt face, and Ethiopian was people of burnt face. But the Romans, during the Punic Wars, give or take 200 something BC to about 100 something AD, in contact with these Africans of North Africa, they say, "Who are you?" They say, "Negus negusti." Ngista. Negus negusti, because you can get rid of the vowels. The vowels are only there to separate consonants. And so when you had negus negusti, the Romans didn't have a word for us. Plus, they were barbarians. They really didn't have language, period. They then incorporated our language into theirs. And so Ngr, negus, Ngr became negro. And then negro, through its different manifestations, anglicized on the plantations of America, became nigger. So here's the way I introduce this concept that people can understand. There was a metaphysician that had been impacted by a brother by the name of Pascal Randolph Beverly. If you're into metaphysics, you need to know Pascal Randolph Beverly. Just like if you're into Black studies, you need to know William Leo Hansberry. Her name was Helene Blavatsky. She was a Russian woman. And she had been impacted in Europe by metaphysics, studying with this Black man from New York. So she traveled. She went east. She went to Tibet and she studied. And she took the African symbols that had been brought across the east and she brought them back to Europe. There is a symbol that she brought back that represents balance. In Asia, if you curved it, it would become the yin and the yang. But when it was brought back to Europe, this symbol was picked up by a worthless, dirty old soldier in Germany. And as he began to take over the country, he emblazoned it on the flags. He emblazoned it on the uniforms. He emblazoned it on the buildings. And this man, once he took over Europe, took a beautiful symbol. And because he was a dirty person, he dirtied it. So that even today, if I were to draw that symbol and someone of Jewish faith were to walk into the room, they would have a problem. Because they don't, their recollection of that word is not the beauty of the word that represents balance, the male and female, the elliptical galaxy, the way the Gramadan, or what is called the Shvatstika, which is the black point, Shvatstika. Okay, the black stick, which is the cornerstone to all of the beautiful things in the ancient world. A dirty man took a beautiful symbol and he dirtied it. So that now even we who look at that symbol, because the other thing is that the first people that Hitler attacked in Germany were Black people. He killed off the African Germans. So we have to understand who exactly was burned. And he learned how to kill and create gas chambers by what Mussolini did to Ethiopians just before World War I. Okay. And his sterilization program, he copied what the law was in the state of Indiana. They used to sterilize prisoners.
Yeah.
And he took the law to sterilize. He took the gas chamber and the science of gas chambers from Mussolini. The point that I'm making is that by the time Negro, which meant black, just like Ethiopia means black, Moor means black. Negro in the Spanish language, because the Spaniards came here first, Negro was a word that came attached to black folk. And in the enslavement process, it was anglicized once Spain was kicked out and the British took over. And the word became from Negro, Ngr, beautiful word, beautiful meaning. But a dirty group of people took a beautiful word and dirtied it.
So, Doc, let me interject. So, and I've always thought that the M word came from Negro, but I didn't know the other part, which was you're saying that Negro came from, what did you say, the Romans?
Well,
Which group of
Negro.
people? What, no, no, no. Like I'm talking about who decided. I know Negro means is black in Spanish, but what I'm saying is that Inga, like that who took that and said, oh, they're saying Negro. Like, how did that? I may have missed the connection when you
Well,
explained it.
remember the Spanish were here before any other group was here. The
Okay,
the Portuguese uh, went right near Brazil and to the east. That's why they got Angola. The Treaty of Tordesillas, the Pope
right.
split the world in half.
Right. The demarcation line. So,
Okay.
so, yeah. So, Doc, what I'm saying is that so the Spanish were the ones that heard the us say Inga, and then they took it and said, "Oh, they're saying Negro." I thought you said Germans initially because you said they were
Well,
barbaric. Yeah.
well,
So,
no. Originally the Spaniards were Germans, the Visigoths and the Vandals.
got you. Okay, so that's the
Okay.
connection I needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Originally, that's who they were. They came from the Germanic mountains down. So were the Greeks. The Greeks were the same people. They just came earlier down. And then the next wave of Germanic tribes came down, and they met African people on the west coast of what we call Italy, in a place called Etruria. And they came upon Africans that are called the Etruscans. And so what you have is this impact of this word that we called ourselves, which meant King of Kings. It meant spirit. It even invoked the creator. It was
Mm,
a beautiful word, but you got to go back to the sound, not to the
hmm.
letters,
Not to the
because
letters.
Spanish, people were not speaking Spanish as a language in 1300. Spanish didn't exist. And if it wasn't for a black man named Alexander Pushkin, the Russians would be speaking French today because Russia was part of the Gaul Empire.
Mm,
And once we understand this history, and what I told, I had to do a disclaimer to the students, and I always do this. I am not encouraging you to use this word. I am not discouraging you to use this word. I am asking you to know the history of the word and then
right.
make up your mind. Understand that elders, even my generation, watched black folk get hung. There was some black folk, that's the last word they heard in their mind.
Mm,
Like many people in Europe, that swastika was the last thing they saw.
mm,
And it embedded a very negative feeling in our heads.
mm.
And so that when we hear that word, it evokes the dirty people and what
Yeah,
they did. Like
it
the
does.
swastika evokes the dirtiness of the Nazi party.
Absolutely, Doc.
And I tell the young people, you got to understand what that word means to the elders. And I say to the elders, you got to understand something because, in fact, I have the book in my library. Dick Gregory years ago wrote a book titled Nigger.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And he said, when I spoke to him in Washington, D.C. at the Power. And I reminded him of the time I heard him say that they said, why did you title that book like that? He said, because I wanted that word to stop hurting us so much.
Mm,
And if we use that word enough, it won't hurt us. And you know something, Dr. Ma'at? The young people have done what he said.
mm,
Because people say, that's not a term of endearment, but it is to them. They say, oh, I love that nigger. Oh, that is my nigger.
mm.
Yo, nigga, come over here, man. I want to tell you something. They're not using it the same way a European uses it. The other thing about the word is I tell people of European, because I say this to group, white folk can't use that word. You can't use that word. And you can't use that word because I tell them some of the funniest jokes I've ever heard about Jewish people that I laughed at were told by Jewish people. But if I told that joke, nobody would find it funny.
Right.
Because when you are in the group and you're making fun of yourself, it is a self-reflection. They call it self-deprecation, I believe, where you're just making fun of yourself at your own expense. So it's funny because if you make fun of yourself, you are not attacking that person because you'd be attacking yourself. So that people of European descent, people outside of black culture can't use that word. No more than I could tell a joke about a Jewish person, about an Italian person, about an Irish person, because they wouldn't find that funny if I told that joke. They would not like me to hear me tell them, because every group has a derogatory term. It just happens to be that the word nigger is the one that's constantly used by us. And even when I say that word, I'm sure it's bothering people that are listening because of what that group of dirty people did with that beautiful word, which meant God, it meant creator, it meant the king of kings. Ungar, but you got to get back to the sound. You can't get caught up in the word and what it has come to mean. There's another brother named Randall Kennedy. I got his book in my library too. He wrote a book titled Nigger.
Mm.
He used to be the clerk to Thurgood Marshall. He said Thurgood Marshall used to use that word quite frequently. And he said that his book is really good because he gives you all the examples of the origins of that word as it relates to European. But the idea is that, Doctor, we don't know who we are.
Come on, Baba.
And so we're fighting. Look, if we can't even say, okay, you black, you African American, you're Negro, because if you get to some elders, they still call themselves Negro American.
Yep.
If we can't even get
Colored. Some
colored,
elders still say
yes,
colored.
that,
Some say still say colored.
if we can't get past that, how are we gonna solve our problems if we can't even solve what we call each other?
Come on.
And so, I tell that story only in the sense going back to your original question, as it relates to I am my mommy's from Boston, Massachusetts. My daddy from Alabama. Booker T. Coleman. He was Tuskegee and Marion, Alabama, got family there. I am a foundational Black American. A foundational Black American is an African whose ancestors were on plantations in the 13 colonies or
Come
somewhere in the United States of America.
come on. Come on.
And when you go to Puerto Rico and you go to Loíza Aldea, that is the heart of Puerto Rico, and that is the Bomba y Plena. That is the African roots of Africans brought to Puerto Rico. You go to Haiti, everybody's going to get a check cut. But we have to go, and our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, from Central and South America, listen, if you are Yoruba from Nigeria, it's your responsibility to look out for your people.
Absolutely.
If you are Khan from Ghana, it's your duty. If you come to America, you look out for your people. You Puerto Rican, you look out for other Puerto Ricans. I'm an African American. I look out for other African Americans, but not at the expense of the detriment of another African somewhere in the world.
Come on.
That's what makes me Pan-African, or what I call Nebu Afrika. My brother Baba Heru gave me that word, Nebu Afrika. Nebu means all. Afrika. Af means the flesh. Ra is the light and heat energy, and Ka is the spirit. So Nebu Afrika is not just human to human. It's the place that the human is in the cosmos. All God's children, all God's creations, all of the creations of the Creator are part of this conversation. So when I say Nebu Afrika, it is like saying Pan-African, but Pan-African is a Roman term. Pan means all, and Africa is the name of the country.
Right. Or the name of the continent.
Pan-African through and through. It's in my blood system. But I am also a very proud foundational Black American. That's a new word. African American means the same thing. It's just the same. Black, whatever you want to call you, Negro, Moor. It's all the same.
And Doc, and that's what I was telling the brothers and sisters. I said, look, if you whatever word you want to use to describe the Africans who came from West and Central Africa, right? They didn't come. They were kidnapped. They were brought here against their will. They were prisoners of war. But they were brought here. If it's a word that's describing those West and Central African people who came here, Baba, who, like you said, worked on plantations from Kansi to Kansi, fought in all of the wars, right? Experienced slavery, Jim Crow, what else? Civil rights movement, Black Power movement, um, the crack epidemic. This is that's our history. And so if you want to say that's the African American, then I'm an African American. If you want to say that's a foundational Black American, then I'm a foundational Black American. My father's people came from North Carolina and Maryland Eastern Shore. So his mom came out of both from the South. So his father, my grandfather, Maryland Eastern Shore, my grandmother, North Carolina. This is my father's side. On my mother's side, both of my grandparents came out of Sumter County, South Carolina. So we all came out of the South, Baba. So you say, are you my foundational Black American? Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. I can trace my lineage back to the plantations in the South. Okay, and that is the foundational Black American. And so we've been here. And so anyway, Baba,
and also, my sister,
mm,
the indigenous people originally came from Africa too.
absolutely.
And chances are they did not come by way of the Bering Strait, they came by way of Africa. The first peoples to come to America, when you backtrack their presence in America, they did not come across the Bering Strait. There were other waves of African that came, like, for instance, the Black Hawaiians came from Southern Asia, Australia, Polynesia, Melanesia, and then they got to the Hawaiian Islands. They're known as the Lapita people, Lapita.
Mm-hmm.
And Clyde Winters, I bought his book on it, man. He just lays it out real clear as to that relationship. Many of the Lapita people would then continue to travel east, and then they find themselves in California. And that is the Khalifa. That is the original Californians who were Black.
Mm.
You see, we are all related as an African people. The people we see today as Native American, and you see, they get on my case, indigenous people. They don't really care for me in terms of, because I tell them, you're the fifth migration that came here. You're the Asian migration.
Woo.
You're the newly arrived people here. That is what made your complexion less melanated. It is what made your hair straighter. And what you got to realize is that you met a people already here. The first migration were the Twa and Mbuti Khoisan. And chances are they would have left the west coast of the southwest coast of Africa on the Benguela Current, and they would have been moved right into Brazil, the Amazon River, because that Benguela Current will take you right into the Amazon River. There were other Africans that came from the upper part, because there's three belts that leave West Africa. Every hurricane that comes our way comes via the middle one. When we had all those, when Florida was hit with that hurricane, it started in West Africa.
Mm.
And it traveled the warm waters of the summer. That's why the season is like from June 2nd to November 2nd, or December 2nd sometimes. But that's because, and the reason why they're so harsh in the later part of the summer, like August and September, like Katrina, and what we just had recently, is because during the summer, the waters warm up. And the winds that carry them, the wind systems and ocean currents carry that wind across the Atlantic Ocean. And that goes into the Gulf of Mexico. That's how the Africans that Dr. Van Sertima talks about, the Olmeca and the others, came from Africa and got into Mexico.
Oh, those indigenous folks, Baba, they will be mad to hear you say that. So you're saying the Olmecs were African. You get a lot of pushback from that. Because
okay. The Olmecs were not necessarily African.
Okay. Because I'm about to say they would say DNA analysis would disagree. But go ahead, Baba.
Olmec says that about 13% of that population of the Olmeca were Black. But they were the foundations of that civilization.
Right. They were.
But they met a people, but even they did not look like the Native Americans that we see today. They were copper colored because they were part of the original group. The first group is Khoisan, Twa and Mbuti. The next movement is going to be what's called the Clovis Folsom people, a taller stature African. The third is going to be an Algonquin, still very much African. The third is going to be Inuit or Eskimo. The fourth is going to be Inuit or Eskimo. They are going to be a brownish yellow complexion because of the nature of their movement. They're still that complexion. And then the fifth migration is going to come somewhere around 3, 4, 5,000 years ago. And these are going to be known as the Asian invaders. They are escaping Genghis Khan and what's called the Mongoloid invasions. They're going to be pushed south. That's the ones that come across the Bering Strait.
And that's the ones we hear about that came
That's
across
the
the
ones,
Bering
yeah, but
Strait.
they came
Yeah.
in much larger numbers, and they became part of the group. And so the indigenous people still remain their complexion, but the further south you go, the purer black you get.
Yeah, and Baba, while you were talking, I was thinking, Doc, about when you said those Mongoloids, that's the ones we hear about. So the Hopewell culture, the Mississippian cultures, the Adena right there in Ohio, Baba, a lot of them, they were the Mongoloids who came down.
They were the ones that came, and over that, those civilizations already had. That's where you get the pyramids from.
Yeah. The Hopewell,
Okay.
Mississippians, Adena,
Okay, when you get those, and they call them mounds, but
right.
they're pyramids. And so, I did a presentation in what's called Collinsville, Illinois. The indigenous called it Cahokia, Monk's Mound.
Yeah, Monk's Mound.
Okay, and so the 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 Asian, the fifth migration did not bring the culture that we see in America today. It was already here and established. And that's what they don't like to hear me say.
Mm.
That's why they got all them feathers up on their head, because they have Ma'at.
Mm.
That is why the eagle is so important to them, because of Heru. This is our here. But you see, they don't like to hear it because, some of them got a little racism up in them too.
I got it, Baba. Look, Baba, something, my award fell down like, but go ahead, Baba. I'm listening.
Even the water couldn't handle it. But that's where we are right now. And when we get this, so the point that I'm making is that many of our ancestors, we claim Cherokee, Seminole, Choctaw, many of them were African before the ones that we call indigenous were here.
So Baba, let me ask you this. Getting back to the FBA and the rally that's coming up on Saturday, I hear a lot of people say, y'all are what black folks, y'all begging these white folks for money. I mean, you're going to ask for reparations. Of white folks not going to give you reparations. You're wasting your time. You all are going out there blowing hot air. What are your thoughts about that? About people, galvanizing our people, and Baba, what I'm thinking is it ain't about just blowing hot air. It's about educating our people on why we should be demanding reparations and invoking political power, like, so unity for the purposes of political power. So saying, hold up, no tangibles, no vote, and really raising awareness around our political issues. So Baba, what would you say to those people that say y'all going out there, and on Saturday, and you're begging white folks for money that you're not gonna get? What's the point? What would you say to those people?
Well, what I ask them is, do you have a job? And they say, yeah. I say, well, suppose your employer stopped paying you. How would you feel? Our ancestors toiled and made this country what it was.
Absolutely.
And their ancestors, their ascendants, not descendants, I call it ascendants, because we rise up, we don't go down. Their ascendants deserve what they never got. I support anybody black doing anything black, but Sister Dr. Ma'at, I know that it is with you, and I know it's with me. I never waited for anybody to give me anything.
Come on.
But I don't have a right, because there are so many of our people that have not had the opportunity that I had.
And that's true.
They were not born within the mindset of my family, demanding only the best of me and making sure that we do what we have to do. We come from a lot of different backgrounds.
That's right.
And our people have been hurt by matter of degree, myself included. We have all been hurt.
Absolutely.
And if all of my people ain't got it, then none of our people got it.
That's right.
And just because I have been put in a situation where I have been blessed and you have been blessed, we still fight for our people. And that's how I feel. If you don't want to fight, but you see, the same people that going to tell you that, they're going to be the first one up online when them checks be cutting.
Who you telling? Who you telling,
Okay.
Baba?
All of a sudden, they're going to have the nerve to actually kind of claim that it was their idea.
Yep, I told you. I knew we was going. Yep. I knew it. I knew it.
So, you know, what we have to do is that we have to, no distractions.
Absolutely.
We have to set our sights on only the very best. I support anybody black doing anything black for our people. And part of my accessibility is just that. You need my help? You see, service is rooted in love for the people. It's rooted in that. It's rooted for the ones that have, and it's rooted for the ones that may not have. My love is for our people who wait for the light to turn red and come up on your car and ask you, can you spare a little something? My love is rooted in the pimp, the prostitute, the gangbanger. I have an unconditional love for our people. Do I expect them to pay me? That's not the point. I ain't never going to give up for our ancestors. Because first of all, I wouldn't even know what to ask for. I have an idea what to ask for, but I'm telling you this. You need to give them, the black farmers, 400 mules, not 40. Give them 400 mules. And give them 1,000 acres. Forget the 40 acres and a mule. Get them black farmers so that they can get loans to buy machines and trucks for their farms. Get it so that they can begin to buy buses where they can put their produce that they have and ship it to the black community so that we don't have to worry about eating. That they can have an international trade in Jamaica and Puerto Rico where they can
That's right.
send their goods, their canned goods if you want, or your bottled goods if you want. HBCUs. Get some money into them HBCUs. And how about after school programs for our children who may not be on a reading level after they graduate from high school? Let's get some type of special prep school for students, maybe a year long, where we bring them up on their math skills, their science skills, their language arts skills, so that they can do better in the advance. What about starting trade schools in our community?
Come on.
Where you can become an electrician, you can become a plumber. And then you can then go into the communities and work in the homes where you can be the plumber, you can be the person that takes care of the building. So reparations come, but I'm not saying that that check is important too, because ain't nobody getting no bigger reparations in Ukraine right now. And when that pandemic hit, people was getting checks then. So don't tell me you don't have the money. So that my view of reparations is an all-encompassing type of thing. I'm an educator, so I'm going to focus on education.
Same here.
Okay. You have people who are spiritual leaders. Focus on your thing. You know, it's Neely Fuller's book on white supremacy, the 9 areas. I've added one, but the 9 areas where he has religion, he has economics, labor. Now, he calls it sex. I call it gender issues. That's where the psychiatrists, the psychologists, and the social workers come together and give our people some kind of mind sense. You know, we need programs to help our people mentally get up out of what they're in. And then you have education. That's your area, my area. And then you have law. And I'm encouraging all black lawyers to study Moorish law. And if you don't, get Black's Laws Dictionary, whatever number you can get. And then you have WEP, you have security. He calls it war. But you know, my sister, Dr. Ma'at, if you cannot protect and secure what you have,
come on.
You don't own it.
Come on. It's not yours.
Somebody more powerful come and take it from you.
That's right. It's not yours.
So you better have a security force in place. If you yourself are not your own security force, then you have entertainment. And then you have politics.
Dr. Francis Cress Wilson added health.
And I added health and nutrition.
Ah, okay, okay.
Because I've been going to Dr. Sabi since 1988.
Mm.
Now I go to his wife, Sister Ma'at.
Mm.
But I've been doing my thing with Dr. Sabi. Paul Goss out of Los Angeles, phenomenal brother. Work with him. Of course, Dr. Laila Africa. He
Yes,
and I have
yes,
worked together on several occasions. And his wonderful wife, Dr. Melinda, uh,
yes.
or Melanie. I'm sorry, sis, if I got your name wrong. But I mean, because all this other stuff, you can have as much reparation as you want, but if you sick, you ain't doing nothing.
Come on.
So we got to get our health together. So when you talk about reparations, we're looking at 10 areas that we can begin to get the very best of the very best in those areas to begin to chart and to create a way in which whatever reparations comes can go into that and it can heal our community, along with giving our people checks.
Absolutely. Cash payments.
Okay, so it's all good to me. I want it all. Now, do I expect that? Yes, I do. Because I'd be a fool to get into this and not expect it.
Come on.
Look, somebody gonna give something up.
Right, right.
And the
Something.
longer you make us wait, the more you're gonna have to give us, and the worse we're gonna beat your behind to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the quicker you do what you gotta do, the better off you're gonna be. Because it may not be our generation, but our great grandchildren
Come
are going to
on.
be looking at your great grandchildren. And your great grandchildren, talking to Europeans, are going to curse your name for passing the pain to the next generation.
Right. Why
Instead
didn't
of
they deal with
solving
this
the
back
problem.
then? Right. That's right.
Why didn't you deal with it in 1865?
Come on.
Why didn't you give them the 40 acres and a mule? Why didn't you listen to Queen Mother Moore when she was telling you about reparations in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s? You didn't listen to it then. Why didn't you listen to Martin Luther King when he said that your check has come back? Insufficient
Insufficient
funds.
funds. Mm-hmm.
And the hip hop generation that came through. We still talking money. You didn't do it. You're going to do it.
Mm.
The question is when and who.
And who?
And if not you and not me and not now, somebody down the line going to pay the price.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
And so for those that say they're not in it, don't be in it. That's all right with me. It's all right.
Mm.
And if by chance in my fight, in our fight, you should get something, and now all of a sudden you want in because now the thing is clear and you didn't do anything to get it, I ain't going to fight you from getting it. But don't you think I ain't going to forget that you didn't help us?
That's right. That's right. And Bob, I want to close out with this, Doc. What are your thoughts about I guess when you hear, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, so on the continent or in the UK and Europe or wherever in the Caribbean, and how they are opposed to us getting, reparations. And so, we're looking at it, we're Pan-Africanists and we're like, shoot, if we get it, that's good for everybody. That's a win for all of us. But there is an element, I'll say, in the in the diaspora who's like, they don't support reparations for foundational Black Americans. What are your thoughts about that, Bob? I'm just curious about that.
They're ignorant
Hmm.
because Africa is fighting for reparations now from Europe. The Caribbean, CARICOM,
Yeah, CARICOM, I heard about them.
has a whole movement towards that. There are countries in Africa that are demanding reparations for what has happened colonial style to them on the
Mm-hmm.
continent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I would say to those that are against us getting reparations are you aware that your own countries are fighting for reparations?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that I guess if they're not in the United States of America, they don't know history. But if you are in the United States of America, you have to know that the way in which you got here was through our blood, sweat, tears, and death.
Oh, absolutely.
And so whatever you get, even as a benefit, you got because of us.
Absolutely.
Now, I ain't asking you for nothing because you don't have anything that I have. I do know that there are those in the diaspora that feel that way, but I also know there are a lot in the diaspora that love us dearly,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and honor us. And those are the ones I'm talking to. I'm talking to the ones that are ready. Like I say, if I have to convince you, ain't nothing I say gonna convince you. If I don't have to convince you, you already know. So just let's get it on. See, my sister, I don't have time to talk to these people now.
Come on, come on. Oh, you sound. Oh, you remind me of oh, I'm thinking about Baba Anthony T. Browder. He said he's at a point in his life. He said
Oh
I
yeah,
don't have time to talk to those people.
yeah. No more conversion.
Not anymore. That's what he said. No more. I'm not proselytizing anymore. No
No
more.
more conversion. I'm looking for the ones. You know, my sister, when you want to start a roaring fireplace, fire in a fireplace, you take the log that's closest to you and you light it.
Mm,
You put it in the fireplace. That log lights the second to the third to the fourth, and on down until you all 12 are blazing. But you only lit one log.
mm,
I'm looking for the one log to light.
mm.
I'm looking for the one that's ready to make this happen. I'm looking for 3 out of 100. I'm not saying that I'm going to limit myself to 3 out of 100, but I'm looking for because sometimes the work that we do, we overwhelm ourselves trying to do everything so soon.
True.
Nothing happens in our time. It happens in divine time.
In divine time, Ashe.
And that's what I'm after. If you ready, let's go. Okay? Because when you go into the train station and you came in late and you in the back, the train come in, when that train is full, you move up, but you ain't getting on that train
That's right.
because you came too late. So that I'm looking for the people that are in the front in the train station because this train coming through. And once it's full, the doors are going to close.
Mm, mm,
You have to wait for the next train
mm.
because I ain't got time. And the one thing about when you mature in life, and this is what I always say, I think I began talking about this. One of the things I've come to realize is the most precious thing we have is time. It's the most precious thing we have.
You went full circle, Baba. Keep going. Mm.
Okay. You can lose all your money, you can make some more. Your house can burn down, you can build another. But you'll never have another October 31st, 2022. How you spent your time is very important because you will never be able to go back and do it again. And if I could get that thought in young people's minds, this is what I used to always tell even my kindergarten students. I used to tell them the most precious thing you have is it's not about the money and the clothing and the sneakers. It's your time that is most precious. Use it
Mm.
wisely. Use it wisely. Yeah, use your money wisely, but use your time because you can get more money. You ain't going to get no more time. And from the moment you were born, you began to die. And the most important things, like when you see somebody's picture and they have their birth date and they have their ascension date or death date,
That's right.
then you have that line in the middle. You have the dash. Well, that dash is your life. What's your dash look like?
Mm.
What did you do? How will people remember you? Because that's the memory. That's one of the souls that you leave on the earth. People memory of you, how you impacted them, what you did. And so when you opened up by saying about my being accessible, my sister, if we are who we are, if we are who we say we are,
That's right.
if I am busy, it's because I'm busy being with good people like you and all of the folk that are going to be watching this. That's what
Ashe.
I'm busy about. And we have got to come to understand this as a people. Time is the most precious thing. And that's why I thank you and I thank your audience for coming on board today because you're taking this time, no matter how it's an hour, maybe 30 hour, 5 minutes, however long this conversation is, you're never going to get this time back.
Mm.
So how you use it is very important.
It's very important.
So I'd like to encourage the community to go to my website, www.kabakamene.com, and download my free e-course and study guide. I've got 3 books on Amazon, but I also got it on my Instagram link, Kaba Kamene. and I also have it on my website. Professor
Oh,
William Leo Hansberry, Spirituality Before Religions, and Shabaka Stone. I'm presently working on a children's book on Shabaka Stone, which should be coming out soon.
Doc, what is your website again? I have it. I'm trying to pull it
Website
up.
is
Kaba.
www.kabakamene.com.
Yeah, I thought I did that and it came up. That's why I show the people. There it is. There it is. I want to show the people so they know. Hold on. This is it right here, Doc. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We're working, and I'm looking forward to this Saturday, November 5th at Freedom Plaza. And I just thank my brother Tariq Nasheed, his family, and the
Absolutely.
staff of Tariq Elite, and all those that have made this possible. I know that he just dropped the theater trailer on American Maroon, and so
Yes.
I
Beautiful trailer.
yeah, I thank him for all the work that he's doing, and I respect and honor us as a people. We have to make this happen for our children. I have a 100-year plan.
Mm.
I'm asking myself, where do I want our children to be November 2nd, 2122? Solar power is the future wealth of the planet.
Come on. Hold up, Baba. See, I'm trying not to, I want this conversation to go longer. Baba, that's what I'm teaching in my conscious ingenuity program. Solar power, how to take that solar power and utilize it. And so we buy the solar panels, small little solar panels. And what I've been showing them is how we can use solar panels as an alternative power source. So typically, we may power something with batteries, but we can utilize solar energy. So, what does a solar panel do? So, we're teaching 8 to 10-year-olds right here in Baltimore at the Kamoyo Shule Africana School that was established by Baba Imhotep and his wife or his complement, Mama Ife. And so we come in, Conscious Ingenuity, my program. We
Mm.
come in each and every Sunday and we do, STEM with the children. And so that's one of the things we've been doing, Baba, is teaching them about solar panel. I'm actually in the process of, so we introduced it to them in addition to like soldering. And so by the end of the program, they're going to build a house that's powered by battery, wind turbine, and solar panel, Baba.
Mhm.
So that's what we're leading up to. And so go ahead, Baba. Keep on going. I was getting ready to
No,
show a
no,
clip of
no,
that, but
no.
keep going.
Well, you're doing what I encourage us to do.
Ashe.
For those that want to just get a sense of it, you can go on Kindle and you can get a free book called Solar Power Demystified to understand what it is. We are a people of the sun.
Come
And isn't
on.
it interesting that everywhere where the sun shines the brightest, the people are the most melanated? And
Mm,
solar power is the future wealth. People talking about 4G and 5G. I'm talking about Raji.
mm.
Raji, that power, nuclear fusion, solar panels, and not only that, the book I'm writing, even as I'm doing this book on Shabaka Stone for children, my next book is going to be on melanin. We have to understand each and every one of us melanated people is a solar panel walking the earth.
Mm.
We derive the energy. And you see, the thing about solar, and you see, what's interesting is that it's science. Because I remember I was in Boston a couple years back. It was a serious snowstorm. And as we were going through a park, it's called Franklin Park up on Blue Hill Avenue. As we were going through the park, the snow was just mounted, but it was black. And I said, wow, what? And they said, that's black sand.
Mm.
Because they put black sand, they've learned to put black sand on snow because black sand attracts and captures the sunlight that melts the snow. And up in the North Pole, to save the icebergs, they're covering it with white sheets because white deflects the sunlight.
Come on.
We're talking science here. And so we have to understand that solar power is us. We are soul power.
Mm.
And so as we move forward, those individuals that no solar power, there'll be no air that you can put on the end of your name. There's no millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire. You be a raw air,
Mm.
because the abundance of the solar power will be so powerful. There's no way that you'll be able to measure your wealth, because it will always be abundant.
Mm.
You'll run your lights, your computer,
Everything, everything, all of
everything,
your appliances. Absolutely. We take it, we
everything.
convert the solar energy into electrical energy, and you can take that energy and power your whole house with it.
That's it. And every day you wake up, you're doing the same thing in your body.
Mm.
The same way you understand solar power is the same way you understand your soul power.
Ashe.
And if you don't believe me, just check out James Brown when he's singing that song
Soul
Soul.
power. Soul power. That's what I was thinking when you said soul power.
And
So but
soul means son.
yeah, absolutely.
Coming from Spanish, coming from Vulgar Latin, but coming from the Kush Kemet people.
Ashe. Ashe.
Yes.
So Baba, let me drop a bomb for you.
Fire! 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 Fire!
Doc, it is always a pleasure speaking with you. You know, Baba, once I gotta, upload this, I'm gonna go and just sit and listen to you again because you drop so much information. Every time you come on, I go and of course I chop up clips and I put it out there, but I go and I listen to you maybe 2 and 3 times. And even when you were saying some things, I said, oh yeah, that's where I got it from. About so, this is where I got it from. A lot of the little things that I say out of my mouth come from you. And so I just thank you for your time, your energy, and your wisdom. I look forward to seeing you this Saturday. Super excited about seeing you at the rally. And I look forward to hearing and listening to what you had to say regarding reparations for our people. And so, family, make sure you join Dr. Kaba, Kamene, and myself this Saturday, November the 5th at 11 a.m. at Freedom Plaza in Washington, D.C. for a historical reparations or rally for reparations. And like you, I share your same sentiments, Dr. Kaba. I give thanks for Tariq Nasheed and just having the vision to put this together, all of the work that he's putting in. Looking forward to seeing the American Maroon documentary. I think that it's going to, what I love about that, Doc, is that now we're teaching our people about the Ma'afa from a position of power. And that's what I appreciate about his American Maroon documentary, because a lot of our young people who are ignorant of our history, they believe that we didn't fight. And we always have fought and we've always have been warriors. But when they think of our history, and I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine, she said, I hear you, but she said, my mind goes back to those images or the imagery of the images of seeing, Black people being bit by dogs and sprayed down with water hose. And those are the images that they inundate us with. They don't inundate us with the warrior images. And so shout out to brother Tariq Nasheed for his American Maroon documentary. Doc, I think it's going to be a game changer, and I'm so looking forward to seeing it. And so with that, I'm gonna let you go, Doc. Appreciate you. Go
May
ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
say one more thing, my
Oh,
sister?
please do.
Because this weekend on November 6th, I'll be speaking. This is the Sunday, the day after the rally. I'll be
Alrighty.
speaking at Everlasting Life Vegan Restaurant
This Sunday.
this Sunday coming,
Okay. At what time?
November 6th, 7 o'clock. Doors open at 6:30. 9185 Central Avenue, Capitol Heights, Maryland.
Beautiful.
It's like a mall there.
And beautiful. I've been there. The food is great. They have a
yeah.
great brunch.
Yeah,
I've been there. They have great
yeah.
vegan food.
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah,
I'll
great.
be speaking there, and the name of my presentation is going to be "The Hands That Built the Pyramids, Built the White House."
Come on.
It's going to be part of my next documentary with my son Heru. We're working on that.
Beautiful.
So while I'm in DC, I'm going to be filming for the documentary at the same time.
Oof, beautiful.
The Friday and the Sunday, we're going to be going around. We're going to be doing some things, talk about our brother Anthony Browder, who has the book Egypt on the Potomac.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
we're going
have
to
it
get
right
into
there.
Yeah, and Benjamin Banneker from the Dogon people. We're going to be getting into some things about understanding exactly who we are as a people, and reparations as it's due. We built this country. We built Broadway in every part of New York on the East Coast. We built Broadway. We built City Hall.
We
We
built
built
Wall Street.
City
We
Hall.
built Wall Street.
We
Come
built
on.
Wall Street.
Come on.
Okay, so that we have to understand that what we asking for is not a handout. We're asking what you stole from us.
Come on. Come on.
We've come to collect what you stole from us.
Ashe. Ashe. I know you're gonna tear it up, Baba. I'm looking forward to hearing you speak. We're gonna have a good time. Family, make sure you come out. Baba, again, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us today. I thank everybody who's listening in the chat, and folks who will be watching this interview in the archives. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I know you could be somewhere doing something else, but you came here to listen to our great, our beloved, our warrior scholar, Dr. Kaba Kamene. And so, Baba, with that, peace and love, and Hotep, Baba, and I will see you this Saturday. Peace.
Let's combat and fight back with maltracks. The war of the minds, they want control of the masses. And Common Core, they dumb us down in the classes. Without knowledge, we can't gain access. Build with the elders, take notes and write classics. We keep whining on the block, how it's gonna stop? Let's start supporting our own, make their supply drop. We buy stocks, then we buy blocks. Cause we know the truth and we tuned in to Dr. Maya.